Adam Walter here with Virtual C, and this is a skill building video over how to create more dynamic meetings with your clients. What we're going to talk about today is how to transform your clients' conversations from a little bit more tactical and operational into meaningful strategic conversations. This goes beyond just a QBR or a strategic annual meeting to this extends to your lunch and learns. This particular practice extends to any phone call you have with your client. And what you're going to have here is that you're going to have a way that is proven to work, that I've gotten great feedback on, that I use with my own clients to attract C-levels and decision makers into my meetings. What I'm going to show you is a kind of a side-by-side comparison of what you're actually doing today with tactical meetings and what a strategic version of that same meeting would look like. So let's head over to the desktop here. So I'm going to create a side-by-side comparison. Over here we have an average, you're going to use a QBR. And we're going to call this a tactical QBR. What we have here is your average engagement with your client. You're going to go in quarterly because you know it's a good practice to stay in touch with your client and see what they need. And we're going to talk to them about what happened last quarter and what's going to come up next quarter. We're having a standard conversation. So what I hear from most MSPs is that what you're doing is you're dumping out your ConnectWise tickets. You're checking out any open tickets, anything that's going on. And so before you head into the meeting, you've created an agenda that kind of looks like this. Segue. And then you have open tickets. You have closed. Additional items. And then you might follow up with projects. And that is your average QBR's agenda. There's really nothing wrong with this QBR process. It's really easy to build. You dump out your ConnectWise tickets, you go over them, you see anything that's like alarming, anything that's out of sorts that you need to deal with, and you bring them up to your clients. Now, the problem with this is it is completely wrong. It is a horrible way to run meetings. I cannot stress to you enough how bad these meetings are for your client. And to do that, I want to give you an illustration. Imagine going into your accountant, and your accountant says, hey, today we're going to reconcile receipts. We're going to spend the next hour, and we're just going to go, if you have the receipt, tell me. If you don't have the receipt, go get it. So that's what you're going to do for an hour. Are you excited about this meeting? Is that something you love to do? It's something you have to do. You need the receipts for your taxes. However, this is something any Joe or Harry or Alice at your company can do. So what I want you to think about is like, what would make that meeting better? I mean, you can throw some sharks with lasers on their heads nearby and be entertained. You know, you can do little gimmicks and stuff. You can add a disco ball in the middle of the room. You can flash it up. You can bring donuts. You can bring beer, whatever you want. But at the end of the day, this meeting is still boring as hell. No one wants to be in this meeting. Every once in a while, you get somebody who loves checking. You get those type A personalities that love checking off lists. They are addicted to these meetings, but they don't get anything done. And also, as a business owner, I will send my type A people to this meeting that love checking off lists. The people that want to go down the list and make sure everything is done are going to get a big kick out of this meeting. Now, if you want to attract the people that are making decisions in the company, that are actually going to give you more strategic advice, you have to ask them strategic questions. So how can we accomplish the same thing that we did on the left-hand side over here and do that with our clients? How can we do that in a strategic way that's going to attract a decision maker? One, we have to make the meetings engaging. In order to make a meeting engaging, you have to have a purpose for everybody who is there. And to that end, at the end of a good engaging meeting, you need to have an action item list. Some of you already know this rule and you apply it over here, but it's a very loose thing. Now, when you're building your action item list, you need to make sure that everybody in the room is going to have a purpose to being there. This is usually, hey, you know, the person in the meeting is your point of contact. That's why they're there. But what if it was bigger than that? Hey, you know, in a strategic QBR, so we have this QBR over here, where we're still going to talk a little bit about tactics. We're going to do it with a little bit of different focus. And I call these strategic QBRs. This could be this could be a lunch and learn. This could be a quick call with a client. This could be anything. When you create your meeting list, have the action items in mind before you start the meeting. Have decisions that need to be made in the meeting ahead of time. So instead of talking about open tickets, closed tickets, additional items, and projects, talk about we need to make a decision on. We noticed in your tickets last quarter that a lot of them were internet based. Can we upgrade internet? Can we do something else that's going to help the company? Like, hey, we really need to get you guys on Teams because it looks like you're overusing email, and Teams will reduce the number of people reliant on Outlook for information. So let's talk about implementing Teams. Can we do this? Yes, no. And so the action item is upgrading the internet is going to result in an action item for somebody. Should we run with Teams is going to result in an action item for somebody. And it has to be somebody in the meeting. So if you have a CEO in the meeting, what kind of action items is the CEO going to uncover? Maybe he needs to look into how much money they can push towards an internet upgrade. While you go back on your back end and have your internet engineers look up what kinds of opportunities are available. Fiber to the curb, increased copper connectivity, multipath, whatever it is that they need to do. And then you can meet up again. Now you have decisions to be made. And you're also trying to reduce the number of tickets that are over here, but you're not talking about tickets directly. You're just talking about the direction that things need to go. Just like if you're talking to your tax accountant, they aren't asking for receipts during the meeting. They're asking for those in-between meetings. They're giving that feedback in between, like, hey, I'm missing a receipt for something. In the meeting with your actual accountant, with your CFO, you are talking about, okay, what kind of write-offs can we do this year? How can we save you more money this year? So that meeting becomes very focused on actions that you can take outside. So maybe you can save more money this year by being on top of your receipts better. That becomes an action item here. Like, you know what? I, Adam Walter, am terrible about collecting receipts. However, if you could find a better way for me to collect my receipts, I'd be happy to learn it. If I can take a picture of them and send them to you in an easier way, an app or something that's going to help me, I would love that. So now my accountant knows to go back and look into that, so that we can save more money this way. So rather than spending the time talking about tactical items, they're asking what kind of strategic things we can do to make things better. Whether it's a phone call, whether it's a lunch and learn, whether it's a QBR, you have to think, how do I make a list of decisions? And when you lay these things out on a meeting agenda, you are now attracting somebody. So like the C-level goes, oh yeah, we really need to talk about how to make this better. Oh yeah, we really need to talk about team cohesion and how we're going to make we're going to implement this at our company. Now, the CEO is excited for this meeting. Whether it's a phone call you're going to do, a Zoom seminar, or whatever, they want to go. The last thing that you're going to want to do to really seal this in and really hone in on what a good QBR or a good meeting is you're going to ask them to rate the meeting 1 to 10. Now, you want to score 7 to 10 every time. If anything is not a 7 to 10 meeting, it's, okay, how do I make this better? Now, if you're a Traction fan, they'll say, get to a 10. If it's not a 10 meeting, ask why not. And so you get that feedback from the CEO on what would make it a better meeting for them. Maybe you need to come more prepared. Maybe they want more analytics in the meeting. But all this stuff should come as a handout that they can digest on their own. All of this stuff should be an engagement in the meeting where you're asking questions and seeking feedback on things. And then you're delegating activities to each of the key stakeholders in the meeting so that everybody feels valued. No one feels valued when they just get talked to for an hour. I want that, you can go to church and attend a sermon. If you want to act, or you can go to a webinar, or you can go to a conference and sit in a chair for an hour listening to people talk to you. Personally, I can read all that stuff on the white paper. I can open a book and learn that stuff. If I want to actually be engaged. If you want to get me into a conversation, get me into a conversation. This is all about having a conversation, not a presentation, a conversation. So that's the key points I want you to understand about having an engaging meeting with your clients. One, don't talk about tickets. Don't talk about tactical issues. Talk about how you're going to change their company and what they can do and what decisions they need to make. Ask for their feedback. Ask for them to help you solve a problem. Should I upgrade the internet? Is there money in the budget to do this? How can I save you money? Here's a way I think I can save you money. And then ask them, hey, rate this meeting 1 to 10. How can I make it better? Give action items to people. So again, ask questions, be curious, rate the meeting, and give action items. If you can do those 3 things, you will have much more engaged meetings and you will attract higher level people in the company to your engagements. You can test this easily by going into a tactical meeting and talk about tickets, talk about projects, and talk about procedures, and ask them to rate a meeting. They're always going to be rated 4 to 6 if they're really being honest with you. Then in the next session, go in and do what I told you to. Ask questions, get their feedback, start discussions, and when you get to the end, they're going to rate it 7 to 10 every single time. That is how these work. If you hit up the questions, rating it 1 to 10, and action items, you'll score 7 to 10 on all your meetings, and you'll see engagement levels increase. You'll see that key stakeholder in a company invite more people to the meeting because they're really engaging meetings. There's no gimmick to this. There's no quick fix. There's no disco balls, no sharks with lasers in their head. It's simply a conversation you're having with them. You're treating them like people and colleagues rather than people that you are smarter than and can present data to. Again, this is Adam Walter with Virtual C. If you have any questions about this, I love this topic. This is something I feel very passionately about. You can reach out to coaching@virtualc.biz, and we're happy to talk you through how you can increase your engagements using strategic processes. Until then, have a good day, and we'll see you online.